check. Australian bloke rings up the maternity ward of the hospital. He said, have you got any further news about my wife who's in labour at the moment? And the matron on the other end of the phone said, is this her first child? He said, no, this is her husband. Is that it?
Yeah.
I've got another 8. G'day. Welcome to Have I Got Didgeridoos for You? I'm Rolf Harris, and in the news this week, at the National Gallery, as the judge unveils the winning portrait of the greatest Briton who ever lived, there are suspicions of vote rigging. In Montana, the world's laziest beetle sets off for another day at the dung heap. And at a World Trade Summit, there's a sharp intake of breath when Gordon Brown bets Britain's entire gold reserves that he can beat the Chinese premier at ping pong. On Ian's team tonight, a lovely little bearded fella who stars as the devil in the hit radio comedy Old Harry's Game, where hell has become so crowded Satan has moved up to earth to try and stop the flow of sinners. He'd have been busy this week. Please welcome Andy Hamilton. And on Paul's team, a Sunday Express journalist whose regular appearances on the Richard and Judy show have helped to make it what it is today. Axed. Please welcome Julia Hartley Brewer. And we start with the big story of the week. Take a look at this.
Ah, the House of Frauds.
Den of Iniquity.
No, House of Common Criminals.
Supermarket Sweep, Westminster version.
Hobnobs, cleaners, fantastic!
I don't believe all those stuffs were on the same shelf.
Oh, MP for Lilliput.
Yes.
The end of a chandelier.
Elliot Morley.
Elliot-
Wonderful man.
Is
Great
he?
career behind him.
Oh, really? Somebody's had a swimming pool installed into their car. That's, what's his name? Used to be on this show. Used to be very big.
That's a moat. That isn't. A trouser press.
That's a complete pile of... oh, yeah.
It's a lot of excuses. It's a fantastic story, but it's all stories come at once. It's like Christmas. Any normal week, any one of those stories would have run all week, and now we get 35. Feel punch drunk. Everything you've always thought, you think, oh, they haven't claimed. They have claimed for that! They've claimed for everything, haven't they?
Yeah. I think a consensus did emerge among all the MPs that it's a rotten system. It's a rotten system, and they've been itching to get rid of it for so long. They've been fighting to get rid of it, and this system was so rotten that they could barely bring themselves to milk it for every penny they got. But now...
But the Lib Dems were the worst at it. I mean, they claim for such rubbish things like chocolate hobnobs. And you say, that's rubbish.
That's not worse than claiming for a moat. I don't think you can say they're worse. They just split along class lines.
Yeah.
The Daily Telegraph revealed all the Labour people first, and it was mock Tudor beams and patio hooties. Then it was the Tories, it was moats, tennis courts, swimming pools...
Chandeliers.
Do you think there's money in repairing moats? Do you think you ever set up a company?
Yeah.
We look after your circle of water.
Sounds like a completely different kind of company,
Yes,
doesn't it?
Do you think there's people who still make drawbridges?
They probably do,
They
yeah.
probably still make drawbridges, don't
Yeah.
they? Jackson's drawbridges. If it goes up, it comes down, it's a Jackson's.
I think I should speak up for Douglas Hogg a bit because,
Yeah.
you know...
Isn't it great? He was called Douglas Hogg.
You could make the case that that's a work-related expense. Because it's about peace of mind, isn't it? You know, when he's at Parliament listening to some complicated debate, he wants to be concentrating on what's being said. He doesn't want to be worrying that his home's being stormed by Vikings.
Is that the same with Prescott, then? If you think, good grief, my toilet seat might break.
Yeah.
I'd better get another one in.
Yeah, yeah. How is going to the toilet a job-related?
You've answered your own question.
Yeah.
You're paying for 2 toilet seats
I think-
in 1 year. You just
Yeah.
think, oh, Pauline, you're a lucky woman.
I love the idea of Jack Straw saying, accountancy's not my strong point. You're in the cabinet! In the worst economic crisis for hundreds of years, you can't do figures. And he's in charge of the justice system. So next time you're in any trouble, just say, accountancy, not my strong point. I didn't pay any of my taxes or bills. Sorry. It's the system. Or in Prescott's case, the system.
Perhaps we should highlight the people who weren't fiddling.
Norman Baker, Lib Dem MP. He crusaded all the way through, and then the Speaker was rude to him and said, oh, we know your type. You tell the press what they want to hear.
As the Speaker turned into Alan Bent.
Yeah.
When did that happen? I've got to start watching the news, you know. It's crucial for this show.
You can do the Speaker.
Yeah.
Who?
You.
Oh, I don't like to do him because he's got that wheedling kind of, depressing. I think if you're going to be Speaker, you should have a nice speaking voice, don't you?
Surely it's not beyond the wit of parliamentarians to have him mime to some records.
Yeah.
These are, as you pointed out, the shocking revelations that we've all been reading about in the Daily Telegraph. Now, question. I'm sure you've all heard of the game My Grandmother Went to Market.
We called it My Aunt Went to Paris. Same game, though.
Yes.
OK, we're going to play a quick game of My MP Filled Out His Expenses.
Oh, right.
So I'll start you off, and each of you in turn has to remember the list so far, and then you add one to it.
Right.
OK?
OK.
So, Ian, my MP filled out his expenses and he claimed for a Crunch Corner yoghurt and 2 toilet seats.
My MP filled out his expenses for me, claimed for Crunch Corner, 2 toilet seats and a trouser press.
Andy?
My MP filled out his expenses for me, paid for a Crunch Corner yoghurt and 2 toilet seats and a trouser press and 25 light bulbs.
Paul?
I, too, have a similar story.
OK, lots of the papers have done an A to Z of the expenses claimed. Can anybody guess what was claimed beginning with the letter Z?
Zeitgeist?
I nearly said xylophone, which would have been wrong.
It was a Zanussi oven, or you could have said the Zeta Hotel, which Hazel Blears stayed at for 2 nights when she'd forgotten which house she was supposed to be living in.
Is it true she got stuck in the street and she couldn't move because her keys were weighing her down?
In the space of a year, she decided 3 separate addresses were her official second homes. And so she made £13,000. And then she's given it back this week.
She made £45,000 on selling a home, but she didn't pay capital gains tax because MPs don't have to pay capital gains tax.
I was on Question Time with her once and she told me afterwards that I was shallow.
Well, I've disliked her since the day she came on Newsnight and she said that she thought writers had a responsibility not to offend the sensibilities of various religious people. She was very patronising. She said, I mean, these wordsmiths, they're very clever, these wordsmiths. And she kept using the word wordsmith, and I thought, well, you're a politician. I don't call you a bollocksmith, do I?
Meanwhile, folks, Tory MP Cheryl Gillan claimed for 3 tins of Dog food.
Dog food.
It was.
Yeah.
3 tins. I mean, let's have a look at the greedy bitch. No, the dog. I meant the dog.
And David Heathcote Angmery claimed for 550 sacks of horse shit.
Well...
Which, I worked that out, that's nearly 2 manifestos worth.
Let's see what Harriet Harman had to say about MP's expenses.
It shouldn't be for luxuries, it should be for basics,
Horse
to
manure?
allow people... Horse manure.
I didn't realise Harriet Harman had such good comic timing as that.
A Labor MP claimed $22,500 for treatment of dry rot. And what was unusual about that claim?
Well, it was true.
It wasn't in her constituency or in Westminster. It was for a house about 100 miles away, Southampton.
Mm.
Yeah, she's the MP for Luton South, and the dry rot was in a house in Southampton.
But it spreads.
But she was so adamant that she'd done nothing wrong that she's now paying back the lot.
Well, I'll tell you the really shocking revelation that I've heard is coming out on Sunday in the Telegraph, is that Gordon Brown has secured financial support from the IMF by claiming that the Falklands is our primary residence. And that Britain's our second home, so we can claim all our running costs as expenses.
Well, that's good news at the end of a sour week.
It is.
There was one extremely legitimate expense claim this
Are you
week.
sure?
Yeah. I don't want everyone to think they were all ripping off the public.
No.
Sean Woodward, who owns 7 houses, he managed to claim £100,000 worth on some property thing, which is, you know, fair enough. But he also claimed £1.50 a fortnight for his copy of Private Eye. So you, the taxpayer, have paid for that, and I'd just like to say I'm very, very grateful.
And you can guess what this minister, Tom Watson, has overclaimed for. See if you can guess. There's food that he's claimed for, and they're allowed to claim £400 a month for food, but according to the Mail on Sunday, Tom Watson spent so much on a shopping spree at Marks and Spencer, funded by the taxpayer, that the store gave him a free pizza wheel.
Most other people in the country pay for their own food.
And you don't have to eat twice as much food because you live in 2 different houses.
Unless you're John Prescott.
Fair point. Fair
And then
point.
you have to get rid of it again.
I think one MP... He couldn't even do that right. That's how rubbish John Prescott is. He can't even be a successful bulimic. He remembers to eat it and completely forgets to throw it up.
He didn't mean that.
I know.
Chris Hoon, the Lib Dem MP, has quite a modest claim. What was it?
He was hobnobs,
He was
and
hobnobs.
a £119 trouser press.
Very good.
Are the 2 items related?
Yeah.
Well, he refused to claim for a cheese muffin, 99p. Bacon-flavoured wheat crunchies, 28p. I don't know why I'm laughing. That's a posh dinner in Australia. One person in particular has radically changed his attitude. That's Alan Duncan. And what's he been up to?
Gardening, he's been claiming.
Yeah,
6,000 quid's worth of gardening or something?
Yeah.
Let's remind ourselves of his attitude to the allowance system when he was on this show recently. And then let's see how he appeared this week.
So, do you claim for a second home, Alan?
Indeed I do.
Right, so you're claiming expenses on a second home when you have 3 and you've got an income coming in from it.
Fabulous system, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a
You don't
great
feel that's a
system.
bit dodgy?
No.
Alan Duncan will pay back nearly £5,000 for gardening expenses.
Well, actually, it was the maintenance, not the gardening, but that's not the point. The whole House of Commons, I think, has to apologise for the mess that has arisen. These allowances cannot continue like this. They've got to be replaced or changed or abolished. The House of Commons is in such a mess, these allowances have got to stop.
So, how did David Cameron react to the tales of the Tory squirearchy?
I thought rather admirably straight away. He just simply said you have to pay it back. If we don't like it, you pay it back or you'll be sacked. It was good stuff.
And then Gordon came on and said, I've had this idea that everyone should pay everything back.
After a review. We need another review, definitely.
Yes. I mean, hats off to the Telegraph. I mean, not only have they put this stuff in, but their letters page is brilliant. Someone wrote in this week and said, the Prime Minister says we need an independent body to look into the expenses. And the letter writer said, yes, it's called the Fraud Squad.
And what did the Times say about the morale in the Labor Party?
Black Death, plague. What's the metaphor?
Well, they said the mood in the Parliamentary Labor Party is said to be worse than at any time since Gordon Brown became Prime Minister. And I could have read that statement any week and it would have been true. What did the forever young Ming Campbell claim?
Oh, this was so cool.
Yes, bring on. Plasma screen, interior design.
King-size bed.
King-size bed.
Scatter cushions.
Scatter cushions.
The glitter ball. He couldn't get the glitter ball on, though. That's really... I say well done, Ming. I'm quite impressed. He's a bit of a goer.
Have you made that up?
No!
King-size bed, plasma screen, scatter cushions. There can only be one interpretation.
These are the shocking revelations that we've all been reading about in the Daily Telegraph. It was reported that Hazel Blears claimed for a Kit Kat brought from a hotel minibar, or as she called it, a walk-in fridge. As a result of all the damaging revelations, a number of MPs are now fighting for their political lives. So, tune in next week to see which of the little fellas will survive. And as it happens, we had a similar expenses scandal in Australia just recently when it was discovered that an MP called Jake had been claiming for an extra leg, deedle, 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 deedle. So at the end of that round, it's 1 point apiece.
Oh, 1 point apiece.
And so to round 2, which is called... Can you tell what it is yet? I'm going to draw each of you a picture. Do you like your likeness there? You're not sure?
Is that me?
That's you. This could look like me. I'm going to draw each of you a picture and you've got to tell me what the news story is attached to this picture.
OK. Isn't there some light music to play as you do it?
No, I create that.
Are you still chairman of the asthmatics, Rolf?
Yes.
It's an eye.
And there's another one coming in shortly over here.
Oh. If it's Jordan, we should get a clue in a minute.
You're not Banksy, are you?
Is it Jordan?
It bloody is, yes.
Oh, my God. That's very...
And you
good.
recognised her from her face.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which must be a first in her career.
Yeah. Some men are a bit more romantic than others, Ian. That's just Do you know what? I don't want to do jokes about those two because I don't want to invade their privacy.
No.
It's sad when any marriage goes tits up, though, isn't it?
Does it look anything like the girl? I'm so close I can hardly tell from here.
Yeah, no, it does.
That's what Peter Andre said.
OK, and there's a little bit of a rip happening here in the side of the paper.
So have you got permission to deface our property?
OK, what's the story?
It's all over.
Jordan.
And Andre.
Yes. Is that his first name?
Or that could be his hairdresser.
Peter Andre.
Thank you, Peter Andre.
They met on I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Some Panto Work. Years ago.
But they've been together, and they aren't anymore.
No.
Peter called time on the relationship after the Sun printed this picture of a drunken Katie flirting with a mystery man. Oh, sorry, Ian. Sorry. I don't know how that got in there, Ian. Sorry.
Doing so well.
This was the actual picture that upset Pete. This is the one.
We can't quite see who that gentleman is behind the glass. Can we, Ian?
And this was a front-page news for the tabloids, although they didn't all take the same angle on the story. The Sun had, "Pete is my life, I'm devastated." The Mirror had, "Pete dumped me, I'm devastated." The Star went with, "He's a knob, I can't stand him. I make all the money." Shall we just remember them in happier times for a minute? This is an alleged Katie and Peter singing together A Whole New World.
At one point, she seemed to be talking out of tune.
To be fair, I think they chose the wrong song.
Yeah.
When this goes out, watch your dog when this comes on.
This is the tragic news that Peter, Andre and Jordan still make front-page headlines. After the divorce announcement, Jordan jetted off to the Maldives and a passenger on the same flight told the Daily Star she stared out of the window, deep in thought. Well, there's a first time for everything. Paul and Julia, here's your picture.
OK.
Jordan again.
It's a very good likeness, but I don't know who of.
And I'll just draw her hands in here,
her.
clutching a card, and another card here.
Oh, we know this one.
Yeah.
Is it the old lady who was 109?
Who's got a whole load of cards from the Queen? Sorry, we'll carry on talking. You finish the drawing.
Oh, you asking me?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Yes, you're bloody right. 109-year-old lady who moaned about receiving the same birthday card from the Queen 5 years in a row, prompting Prince William to call in and say sorry.
A birthday card from the Queen. It should be a very special delivery. But when you're 109, it all gets, well, a bit predictable. Katie Masters was so fed up with getting identical cards from Her Majesty, she wrote to Buckingham Palace to complain.
What didn't you like about them?
A dress. Yellow. Everyone the same. Every year.
Quite ungrateful, isn't it?
Yeah, what?
Queen sends you a birthday card. Oh, I don't like your dress.
Lazy cow.
Yeah.
William's visit to the 109-year-old was totally unexpected. According to the Daily Mirror, Catherine got the surprise of her life. At 109, that's taking a heck of a risk, isn't it? Why not go the whole hog, stick your head round the corner and shout, "Boo!" A bonus question now. This time, it's a musical clue. I'm going to play you 2 bits of music. What?
Fantastic. That's brilliant.
2 bits of music on this little instrument. And you've got to listen to them both and see if you can tell what the story that links them is. Here we go.
Come and make eyes at me down at the old bull and bush. Da, 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 da.
Oh.
Are you still tuning out?
Anyway. That's enough of that one. OK,
Yeah.
the next one.
My true love was true.
It sounds like R2-D2 sing Sinatra. Excellent, excellent. Well done.
Anyway, what's the link?
What is the... Oh, you don't know?
I do.
Smoking.
Is there a pub and they've found a way around the smoking ban?
Yeah.
James Martin, a regular of the Cutting Edge in Worsborough, Barnsley, discovered that you can smoke in a pub as long as you're in a separate room and you call it a smoking research centre. And that's the first time the phrase cutting edge has ever been used in Barnsley, I'll tell you what. What do customers have to do before they're allowed to buy a drink?
Push their way past all the beagles.
No, they have to fill out a questionnaire which asks questions about how many cigarettes they smoke and whether they like smoky atmosphere in pubs. Barnsley Council insists that the pub is not a legitimate scientific centre. However, it has its supporters. This is an entirely genuine and important smoking research facility, said Professor Amy Winehouse. OK, fingers on Buzz's team now for another musical clue.
OK.
Here we go.
Isn't that a Cumberland sausage?
No, no.
My God, the man can play anything. Anyone got a bowl of lentils, anything.
If you're uncomfortable with that shape, perhaps I can get the more recognised traditional didgeridoo for you. Could I have my straight didge, please? Thank you, thank you. Here is your musical clue. What story does this refer to?
So I just had a real grasp of exactly what we're doing here. OK. Topical news quiz. Guess the story from the didgeridoo. Is it crossing Dover in a fog?
I've got to tell you, I am amazed and astounded that you didn't get that one.
No.
It's
So
the Pope's controversial visit to Israel. Well, it seemed perfectly obvious to me. It's time now for the odd one out round. Jerry Lee Lewis, Jimi Hendrix, The Crazy World of Arthur Brown, and me.
Are we buzzing?
Ian's buzzer's not working. That's amazing. He buzzed and it lit up over there. I suspect foul play, Ian.
I wired up the buzzers about 20 years ago. Every time you press yours, mine lights up. You've only just figured it out. I sit here, I know nothing. I win every week.
OK.
Yes, I think the odd one now is this has got to be about cover versions, I think. Because elements, something to do with fire. Great balls of fire. Arthur Brown's Fire.
Have you done a fire song?
No.
No, you're the odd one out. You haven't done a fire song.
Are you the odd one out because everyone else was found at the bottom of Douglas Hogg's moat?
Not really, no.
Well, that would ruin Arthur Brown's act for a start.
They've all set fire to their instruments except Arthur Brown.
Oh, he set
who
fire to his
set
hat.
fire to his head.
Yes. Have you set fire to your instruments?
Yeah.
Have you?
I didn't intend to.
Didn't you?
It wasn't a crazy rock and roll moment at the end of your show.
No, it wasn't. No.
I mean, setting fire to a didgeridoo, you could probably smoke one of them quicker than you could set...
I once set my accordion alight during a concert in the Bray and Maidenhead Cricket Club.
Oh, was the gig not going well? I'm going to take this pavilion with me.
And I had the accordion on stage just next to the piano, and I hadn't even thought of the spotlight, the stage spotlight, which was just by the piano. And suddenly, all the celluloid on the front of the accordion, that glittery, lovely red stuff, went like that, and flames went up about 8 feet in the air. I went, I ripped my tuxedo off. I was going to douse the flames, and I thought, that cost me quite a lot to get that taken. And luckily, some lady ripped out with a glass of water and poured it over the thing and put it out. But it was scary. It cost me a fortune to get it repaired.
Really? Does it work again now?
Yeah, it's great.
Oh.
Great.
Have you discussed film rights for this anecdote?
Jimi Hendrix set fire to his guitar with lighter fluid on the opening night of his London tour supporting the Walker Brothers in 1967. I bet he never painted the Queen, though.
No.
Jerry Lee Lewis in 1957...
You once dipped Prince Philip in whitewash, but that's not the same thing, is it?
Jerry Lee Lewis set fire to his piano in 1957 in protest at being billed below Chuck Berry. Now, since the incident, does anyone know what Jerry Lee Lewis has been up to?
Since 1957? Well, in October, he bought a new lawnmower. Took it back to the shop in November because he wasn't very happy with it.
What happened recently when Arthur Brown performed Fire in Sussex?
His head did catch fire. His real head.
Yeah. That's right, yeah.
Oh, did it?
Oh, have we got footage of that?
The flames from... The flames from Arthur's helmet set his cloak, his neck and his hair alight. According to a local paper, the Lewis Today, his backing singer, Phil Rhodes, tried to extinguish Arthur, but he ended up on fire as well. And what was Phil Rhodes' excuse for the mishap?
It's a bloody stupid act.
No, he said, I've set light to Arthur hundreds of times before, but this time he moved a bit more than he usually does. The Crazy World of Arthur Brown had a massive hit in the 60s with the song Fire. As he toured with his spectacular stage show, Arthur Brown became famous for his burning helmet. Well, too many groupies, you run that risk. Oh, who wrote that?
I can't believe
I said that.
No,
I've only just read it off the auto cue. And oh my God.
Something shouldn't happen.
Good. Yeah, according to the Mail on Sunday, Arthur Brown ingested enough LSD to kill an elephant. And I got to tell you, it takes quite a lot of LSD to kill an elephant. I got to say that that was probably the worst episode I remember of Animal Hospital. Poor little fella. During a show at Maidenhead and Bray Cricket Club, I set fire to my accordion. Then I made a big mistake, tried to pick it up and... I got a standing ovation. On the subject of me, Paul...
Yes?
I gather that you read somewhere that I'm responsible for giving somebody a phobia about big toes.
Somebody said that he got a bit of a phobia about your big toe because they used to see your big toe on television at the end of your, you know, learn how to swim commercials, and they got rather traumatised by it and used to have nightmares. But as that's not been seen on television for some time, they should be able to watch this programme about anything happening in it at all.
Well, if you can swim yourself, why not teach him yourself? It's fun. See.
There were about 8 little kids of about 8, 9 years of age in there, in part of the film, and I was a fantastic swimmer in those days. I was a junior champion.
Oh, I'm glad you brought that up, Rolf.
No, no, to be fair, I brought that up.
Oh, can we get off this? What was I saying? Oh, yeah.
Toes.
So he's got this girl by the leg. No, what was I talking about?
I don't know. Oh. No, but whatever it was, we want to hear this bit.
But these kids in this pool,
yes, yeah.
They were all over me, jumping on me and holding me under, and I was very good. I could hold my breath for what seemed like hours, and all of a sudden I realised I'm drowning. And I cannot get up to the surface. And the kids are holding me under and standing on me. And
Did all your previous paintings flash in front of your eyes?
And I thought, you know, with the charming sort of persona that I had, I'm going to have to thump one of these kids in a minute to get up to the surface to get some air. But luckily, I managed to get through, and I went and grabbed some air.
And it was a song.
It's time now for the Missing Words round, which this week features as its guest publication the Northamptonshire Didgeridoo Club newsletter. We start with what? Be prepared for what?
Is it flu? Be prepared for millions of deaths.
It's just one word at the beginning, one word at the end. Millions of deaths is too many words. Scouts, be prepared for risotto. If you're wondering what an average Boy Scout looks like...
What you don't know is that Jordan's on the bottom of that one.
No wonder his hat's got a point in it.
OK, next one. It's the Northamptonshire Didgeridoo Club's 4th birthday, and as usual, what?
I'm the only person here.
And as usual, we weren't short of exclamation marks.
It's the 4th birthday, and as usual, there will be cake. There are more details about the party in the newsletter, so
great.
if you fancy going to a didgeridoo, do. OK, here we go. Gordon Brown what in Taxi?
Sobs.
So it leaves makeup tips.
Very good. Gordon Brown's makeup secrets left in Taxi.
Yeah, yes, he's made up everything for years.
That's not a secret.
And coincidentally, the boy who does Gordon Brown's makeup is the same boy who puts the powder on the noses of the faces of the ladies of the harem of the Court of King Caractacus. And what were they doing?
Just passing
passing
by.
by.
OK, next one for you. Dog that swallowed whole alphabet of fridge magnets, what?
Cracked novel.
He said it keeps leaving little messages around the house.
The answer is dog that swallowed whole alphabet of fridge magnets operated on. And after the operation, the dog's owners were so grateful that they sent the vet a letter. I don't know which one, but I hope they washed it first. OK, here's the last one for you. Waiter what?
Waiter, I've been sitting here for 5 minutes waiting for you to serve me, and all you can do is sit in the back kitchen practising your didgeridoo. This is the last time I come to Northamptonshire.
Very close.
Very close.
No, waiter, this wine tastes like cat pee on a gooseberry bush. According to The Independent, scientists have spent 6 years studying the unique properties of Sauvignon Blanc. They were based at a university in New Zealand, and this is quite surprising, a surprising news story. There's a university in New Zealand? There'll be letters.
But it'll be in pencil.
Well, yeah. There certainly won't be emails, not for another 20 years or so. I'm going to get into such trouble for this. So the final scores are Ian and Andy 3, and Paul and Julia surged forward to 4.
Oh, well done,
But before we go, there's just time for the caption competition.
MP realises he's spending his own money.
I leave you with the news that in Aldermaston, a veteran of the nuclear testing program is disappointed to learn that he and his wife are not entitled to compensation. There's a surprising and rather unpopular winner of this week's Euro Millions jackpot. And in Westminster, as a thorough investigation into MPs' expenses begins, news spreads that the local branch of Ryman's has just one shredder left in stock. Good night.
Ian Hislop over on BBC 4 now with the changing of the Bard, looking at Britain's best bards. And stay here on BBC 2 for today's Premier League action, including Newcastle-Fulham with Match of the Day. That's on the way right after a quick sing-along with Rolf. How could we possibly refuse?
You want to do any numbers or anything?
Yes.
2 little boys, each had a wing. Gaily they played, each sunset. Warriors of one little captain had a mishap. Tiddly broke off his horse's head. Tiddly push. wept for his joy, then cried for joy as his young playmate said, "Did you think I would leave you Beautiful, beautiful.
Climb up here and soon be trying. There is room on my horse for two.
When we grow up, we'll both be soldiers, and our horses will not be toys. And I wonder if we'll remember when we were two little boys." Very good.
Well done, Rolf. Have you ever thought of recording that?
We used to sing it in the dormitory at night, after lights out.
Yeah. How were the words "There's room on my horse for two" acted out?